Hi guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Happy almost March and welcome to my March reset. I feel like I really need this today. If you guys watched my last video, I talked about how I've been in a slump for what feels like months now. And one of you guys commented on that video and said that February felt like a house being like thrown onto you, like you were just the house squishing you. And that is the most accurate way to describe February, honestly. As per usual, it's just gonna be super chatty, chill. I'm like literally in some sweatpants. I'm on my lunch break from work and we've got like some, half dead flowers over here. And we're really just hanging out. I kind of switch up the way I do them in every video just to keep it like fun and interesting. I also feel like every month you kind of need something a little bit different. So in terms of this month, let's kind of run through what we're going to talk about. So if you watched my slump video, you guys would have seen I went to a coffee shop to work on Friday and I did some journaling. And while I was there, I did my brain dump for my March reset. I really like to do a big brain dump when we're kind of leaving 1 month behind going into a new month. It's a really good way for me, my thoughts out. And so I did a big brain dump in terms of what I want from March, what I want to leave in February, new habits, old habits I want to leave behind, etc. And so I have that, and that's kind of how I base my goals on. I also of course take my yearly goals and break those down, but I will really just like ask myself like what I need from this month ahead, what we have going on, birthdays, events, dinners, plans, etc. So that's always my first step when it comes to doing a monthly reset. So I've already done that. I'm actually not reflecting on my February goals at all. If you guys are curious what they were, you can go watch my February reset, but I'm not talking about them at all because truthfully, February was literally the worst month. And I just know it's gonna make me feel worse than better. And because I've already started working myself out of this slump, I feel like there's no point in looking back and realizing I didn't really accomplish much. And it kind of just depends on my mood, because sometimes I will go back and look at my goals and realize I accomplished more than I thought. I'm just in the mood for a fresh start. So we're not gonna go over those, but typically in the monthly reset, I do go over those goals from the previous month. But we are gonna go over my March goals that I've set. We'll obviously go over my budget for the month. We'll do my monthly favorites, a book wrap up, reading stats, and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, without further ado, let's jump into it because these intros tend to be super long and chatty. Before we get into my goals for March, I obviously just have to say a huge thank you to you guys because we hit 98K yesterday, which I just can't fathom it. Like at this point, the numbers are so surreal. Like I can't comprehend that there's that many people that are subscribed to my channel. Like it just doesn't make sense in my mind. And so thank you guys so much. You guys already know how much I love you all. Like I answer every single DM, every single comment I get. I want us to feel like friends. I have so many, honestly, I text you guys or reply to your DMs more than I text my friends back sometimes. Like I just love chatting with you guys. I feel like I've made some internet friends like with subscribers that like kind of always reply to my stories and stuff. And so I just want to give you guys all a big hug. I love you guys so much. But let's jump into my March goals. So my big focus for March is starting a 60-day challenge. I haven't really decided what I'm gonna call it yet. Probably like a 60-day get your shit together challenge. And I talked about this more in depth in my getting out of a slump video. So definitely just go reference that if you have any questions. But kind of wanted to do my own version of 75 hard, but tailored to me. And I think I'm not saying 75 hard is bad. Obviously I have like friends that have done it and stuff, but I wanted to do a challenge that was catered to the things that I was needing in this phase of life. I've kind of nailed down what I want to do. And I also told you guys on Instagram to feel free to create your own challenge and follow along. It can also be for whatever length of time you want. I just know that we have a Disney trip in May, so I feel like 60 days could be like a good amount of time. This might tweak a little bit before the challenge starts, and I think I'm gonna film some like mini vlogs on it, and I'll obviously keep you guys updated in the vlogs. My first one is to wake up at 6:30 on weekdays. I get up around 7 right now, and I love having that much time in the morning. And I'm just curious, especially with daylight savings too, I find in the summer I'm way more likely to get up early. I kind of just want to push myself to get up a little bit earlier because now I get up early. And it's really nice because I have a lot of time to work on YouTube before I start my corporate work day, but I'd like to have a bit of time for myself as well. And I obviously love editing. I don't mind waking up and editing for like an hour before work, but I don't know, I just want to try out 6:30, see how I like it. And then I put no phone after 8. I've been really good about this, just putting my phone in a completely different room when Matt and I are watching TV and then putting it on the other side of the room when I go to bed because I'm a chronic scroller. I am. I love scrolling the TikTok. I love scrolling Instagram reels. It just really helps make sure I'm having good quality time and intentional time with Matt. So that's something I definitely want to keep up because I like the way that that makes me feel right now. Next is to prioritize my protein intake, which is something I talk about, like I've mentioned before, but I just want to make sure I am prioritizing that now that like my chronic nausea has subsided. I feel like I'm back to eating whatever I want and not just like plain carbs because I'm so nauseous. So I really want to prioritize my protein intake because I just feel really good. Helps my protein fog. It helps my brain fog a lot. The last one is 30 minutes of movement daily besides walking. You guys know we walk a ton. We have 2 very high energy dogs. I'd say I average 5, 6, 7 kilometers a day. I average maybe 10,000 steps a day, but I've noticed that I've kind of leaned into that just being my primary form of exercise, which there's nothing wrong with walking. I think walking is a great form of exercise, but I just noticed that I'm kind of craving something different. I want to get stronger. And so I'm going to challenge myself to do 30 minutes of movement daily, and it can be whatever I want. It just can't be a walk, Pilates, a dance class, riding, like going to the barn, going for a run, doing a HIIT workout, or doing a full body like lift at the gym. I just want to make sure I'm getting in 30 minutes, and I feel like that's a good achievable number for me. Anyways, if you guys are interested in following along, but create your own challenge, and we can all start that on March 1st together. So I'm really looking forward to that. So you guys will see that I don't have any health goals this month because I want that to be my main priority. And then some of my other goals are just like fun goals because I really want my focus this month to be health and wellness. So in terms of personal goals, I have try a new coffee shop. I don't know, there's been some new ones that have opened recently. I have like an ongoing list on my phone, and I think I've probably tried about 90% of the coffee shops in Ottawa, and so I would like to just try a new one out. I don't know, thought it could be fun, and like I said, I've seen a few new ones open. Next is finish 3 books in ongoing, wait, I didn't word that right. Finish 3 books in ongoing book series. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm filming that video now, actually. You guys will see that probably Sunday or Tuesday, but I'm filming like a finishing every series I'm in the middle of video. And so as a mood reader, I love to start series and put books down. I also have a problem with finishing series. If you guys keep up with the vlogs, you would know I am a diehard Harry Potter fan, but I only watched Deathly Hallows Part 2 for the first time like a few months ago because I refused to like let the series end. And so anyways, I'm challenging myself to finish at least 3 books because it'll be 3 books from like March 1st. Yeah, that makes more sense. Business goals, brainstorm spring series for YouTube. I really want to do another kind of like series how I did with the fall videos where it was just dedicated, that's not the word, vlogs. I don't know, just like fall related videos where we did the fall book haul and fall activities and like a fall clothing haul. I kind of want to do that with spring. So I want to brainstorm that since spring obviously starts in March. I'd like to sign 2 to 3 sponsors for April and May. It's been a really slow start to the year, honestly, and that's just one of the big reasons why I just don't think I can do this full time. YouTube also just rolled out a bunch of AdSense changes with CPM and CPC. And so, I mean, a ton of people I know, their revenue has fallen like 50%. So I'd like to, I don't know, sign some sponsors for April or May and just get myself, it's nice to take breaks. I like to have like a month or 2 where I have, you know, 2 to 3 sponsors, take a month off, and I feel like I can do that because I still work a corporate job and I have that income coming in. So I'd like to just kind of get my spring sponsors all lined up. This one is hard. I try not to set numeric goals often because you just can't always predict it, but I'd like to hit 99K on YouTube. I don't know, we'll see. I feel like, I don't know when I'm gonna hit 100K, maybe in the spring sometime, but I'd love to hit 99K this month. I don't know, we'll see. It'll be a bit of a challenge because you can't really predict people subscribing to you, but I'd like to start a challenge series on Instagram and TikTok. And then I just wrote experiment with short form content. I feel like short form content can be so fun. I feel like I have my groove with YouTube. Like I'm just a chatty long vlog kind of girl, but with Instagram Reels and TikTok, it's kind of fun to do different things, whether it be a vlog, a voiceover, a trending sound. I just like trying different things. So I just want to make sure I'm kind of keeping up with that. Maybe doing like those, I call them like the Emily Kaiser style vlogs where there's like no music, but it's just like fast pace and it's just like the sounds of the video, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'd like to kind of keep experimenting with short form content. For finance, I have, first is a low personal spend, no clothes, no books. I just don't really need anything. And we have, you know, some big home projects coming up with the countertops, having our structural engineer come out. And then of course we're, you know, starting to pick up with travel come April. So I just want to make sure I'm stopping myself and asking if this is an impulsive purchase, asking myself those questions before I make a purchase. Like if I really need it, have I waited a week to make sure I really want it? you know, all that kind of stuff. I have a whole video on how I stopped impulse buying, and that has a bunch of tips and tricks in it, which I can link down below for you guys. Finished booking our May trip. Our May trip is not a work trip. However, we have so many vouchers to use, so it's going to end up costing us pretty minimally from like the personal side. So our flights, we just have to book, but we're using points. Like I mentioned, we had a ton of gift cards left from our trip in November. And what else? Our hotel, we actually rented DVC points, so that's already paid for. I had a bunch of money in a PayPal account, I guess from like before I incorporated, like when I was a sole proprietor, I had left some money there. So that actually paid for our DVC points because we usually pay for that through PayPal. And then the only thing we had to get was our park tickets. So I just kind of want to finish booking and that stuff, get it all, you know, tied up with a bow, and have that kind of ready to go for May. Relationship, I have 2, which this one will be kind of dependent just because you guys know there's just a lot going on in the family right now. So if this doesn't work out, that's totally fine. But I'd love to take a day trip to the States with my mom. That was actually her birthday present. I love spoiling my parents more than anything. They just deserve the world. So for her birthday, I surprised her with like an all expenses paid day trip to the States because she's been saying she wants to go to Target. And we're gonna go a little bit further to Syracuse probably for the day. And so I said I would take her like on a little girl's day, and like I'd buy her whatever she wanted because I just love spoiling my parents so much. So I'm hoping we get to do that this month now that the weather's a little bit nicer and life is a little less, well, it's not really less chaotic, but fingers crossed we get to go. This is a goal that I carried over from February that I didn't accomplish that I really wanted to do this month, and that was to have a date night and go get like a new Lego set and then like make dinner or something. I thought that could be so fun. So yeah, those are my 2 goals in relationship. Okay, and then house and home, you guys know I kind of just like put random things I want to get done in the house. It's not really like I have to get this done. It's just like when something comes to mind that if I have time I'd like to work on in the house this month, I can kind of pick from this list. So I have put together a kitchen renovation spreadsheet. I do all of our home renovations through Notion. So I just want to kind of put together some costs and stuff because we did book our countertop installation. So now that that's kind of like booked and busy, or booked, now that that's booked, I need to kind of get together like paint, handles, lighting fixtures, and kind of start budgeting all that stuff out. Just put touch up baseboards and trim. I actually need to go buy trim paint. I forgot, but a ton of our baseboards just need a little freshen up, so I want to do that. Next one is to find floating shelves for the library. We have tried 2. So we tried some from HomeSense. They were garbage quality, and then I ordered some from Rona. I usually love Rona, but I think I should have just got them in store. They just came damaged, so I need to swap them out, but I really want to put floating shelves up. I like putting little things on our to-do list for the house because it just makes us feel accomplished with like kind of all the tasks we have to do. And then lastly, just get back on my weekly cleaning schedule. I feel like with getting out of a rut, I need to get back into normal routine. And then we've also noticed that doing a weekly cleaning schedule just works really, really well for us. And that just kind of looks like breaking down a cleaning task or room every day instead of spending like my entire Saturday cleaning. But I like kind of allocating a different room a different day, laundry we do on Saturdays, etc. So kind of just want to get back into that routine. I feel like honestly most of these are fun goals. Including like I love budgeting trips and planning trips out. So I feel like when you're getting back into a routine out of a slump, you kind of just need fun goals sometimes. So let's run through my favorites of the month super quick. Favorite movie. I think I only watched 1 movie this month, and it was Priscilla, which I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like it was good, but because we've seen Elvis, like most of us have seen Elvis in the last few years, it was kind of weird watching. It wasn't the same movie because obviously this one was from her point of view, but the same characters in a different movie that were different actors. Like in my head, Elvis is Austin Butler. I mean, Jacob Elordi did a fantastic job, but in my head, it's Austin Butler. So that kind of threw me off, but I really enjoyed it. I do think I liked Elvis a bit more. However, I feel like I learned a lot in Priscilla, like from her point of view. So it was really, I mean, it was amazing. Like the cinematography, the producing, that part was absolutely amazing. The actress who played Priscilla did like an outstanding job. However, I think I just liked Elvis a little bit more in terms of how fast paced it was, but I still really, really enjoyed it. I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10. Favorite TV show? Okay, we're on season 3 now, but Only Murders in the Building for sure. We've already watched it. We watched season 1. We did a rewatch of season 1, and then we watched season 2 for the first time. And obviously the new season of Drive to Survive came out, but I have beef with this season. It just kind of felt very boring, honestly. And I know that there wasn't any drama in this season anyways, like in terms of the actual race season. Like the biggest drama was, what? Nick getting fired. Like there wasn't too much drama this season. Like, I mean, the drama in the last few weeks has been pretty intense, but I felt like it was, I don't know, it wasn't that great of a season, honestly. And obviously we enjoyed watching it because we're just huge F1 fans, but it just felt very bland. They also jumped the timeline, which I don't like. I like when they do the chronological season and following different teams like chronologically, but this one they were going so back and forth. And there was some teams that got 2 episodes that I just didn't really, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah. And then I know that they don't include like Red Bull and Mercedes a ton because they're obviously like winning teams and it's boring to watch winning teams win again. But I would have liked to see a Red Bull episode. I don't know. But I know Max doesn't really like being on TV. I'm pretty sure that's why he's not in a lot of it. But I just didn't love this season. Like, I enjoyed watching it because I'm just so excited about it being race week. But looking back on it, it was probably my least favorite out of all the seasons. So that was a bit of a bummer. Favorite snack. Okay, this is so random. I'm not keto or anything, but I bought these ice cream bars at the store when I was in the States. I don't even know why. Like, they blatantly say that they're like keto. I think the flavor just sounded good. They're like I think they're called Enlightened or something. They're so good. I made Matt take a bite the other night and he was like, that like tastes like a Buster bar or something. Like it was so good, you guys. It's so good. It tastes like, I don't know what's in it, if it's stevia or what, but it is so yummy. I'll put a picture on the screen of what it looks like here, specifically the caramel dark chocolate peanut one. It's so good. I am like, y'all know me. I use my Ninja Creami every single day. I absolutely love ice cream so much. And this to me tastes like a normal chocolate bar. Like I genuinely thought it was just like normal, not like a healthy low sugar keto bar. So good. So good. Like just so good. I dream about it, honestly. So that was my favorite snack of the month. My favorite drink. Probably specifically the orange Celsius. Obviously, we recently got Celsius in Canada and I've tried all the flavors before because I've gotten them when I went to the States, but the orange one just hits different for me. So I really love that one. Okay, and then favorite book of the month. This should come as no surprise. This was my only 5-star read of the month. The Bookshop and the Barbarian by Morgan Stang. If you guys watched my Reading Cozy Fantasy Books for a week video, you would have seen me talk about this. So good. And I love shouting out indie authors that write really just freaking good books. If you don't know what cozy fantasy is, it's basically just like everyday life that takes place in a fantasy setting, very low stakes. It usually involves like coffee, tea, bookstores, magic. Basically just think of your favorite fantasy book and asking yourself like what goes on in the day-to-day. This is a low stakes, comedic and cozy fantasy with a slice of life, sapphic romance. It is about the celebration of books, autumn and winter, community, friendship, and unexpected love. And there's plenty of fourth wall breaking, which I just love. So anyways, if you guys want to see me talk more in depth about this, I talked about it in my cozy fantasy books video, but for sure my favorite book of the month. Favorite beauty and hair products. The blush I'm wearing right now, I'm obsessed. It's from e.l.f. I'll put a picture on the screen of what it looks like because I don't know the name of it, but it is, I like e.l.f. blushes because their powder blushes are very, I don't want to say creamy, but they're not very drying. Like, you know, some like powder blushes just are very drying on the skin. This is still very moisturized. I don't really know what the right word is. Creamy, not drying. It's just so good. I'm really into the more natural toned blushes right now. So I really, really like this. And then also, I talked about this in my morning routine, but the moisturizer that I'm using, it was my first time trying Korean skincare and it saved my skin this winter. I just ordered 2 more. Curel Intense Moisture or something. I'll put an overlay on the screen, but it's so good. Coming from a very acne prone girly who is terrified to try new products, this is it. So I love that. Favorite clothing items, I actually have them right here. These are somewhat new finds. I was supposed to save them for a spring haul, but I'll just share them with you guys. These are some sleep shorts from Old Navy. Like, I just have beef with sleep shorts, okay? I either have to like size up so they're like huge in my like hips, or I have to size down so that they fit me on my hips, but then they like squeeze at my thighs. And the Old Navy like Only line, which I didn't realize stands for Old Navy Loves You. It just hits. I have a few shorts from them. So anyways, I grabbed 2 new pairs because they were on sale for $12. I just love them so much. I just have a pink pair and a blue pair, and I'll put like a little overlay of what they look like on. I get them in a large and I am 5'11", and I wear typically an 8 in jeans. So that gives you like a good kind of indicator on what size to get. And it's just like a little bit oversized. They're so good. And like I said, they're on sale. I don't really have any new podcasts to share with you guys this month. I feel like I haven't really listened to anything new. I've just been listening to Forever by Noah Khan on repeat, honestly. And then favorite creators, I don't think I have anyone new. Those are like all the kind of current favorites I can think of. I'm trying to think if I have any. Oh, I remember in January I started doing like my favorite wine. I'll have to think on that one and share that in a different video. I gotta think of what my favorite wine from the month was. But let's do reading stats. We'll do a really, really quick February reading wrap up, March TBR, and then we'll end with my budget. I always get asked what app I use to track my books. I use Storygraph. Feel free to follow me on there if you guys want. Similar to Goodreads, but I personally think it's better. I've been using it for a few years now. It's a female-owned company. I prefer the stats. It's less glitchy than Goodreads, and I just prefer the layout and the challenges and the things that they offer. So in February, I read 10 books and I read 3,396 pages. I definitely read a lot of shorter books because I did that reading cozy fantasy books for a week video, and most of the books were like, yeah, like this one under 200 pages. I read 90% fiction, 10% nonfiction, and I was actually tied. This is so shocking. In terms of genres and number of books I read, I tied for thriller and fantasy. 4 books in each for the month. And what else? My average rating was a 3.88. There's obviously some overlap since I, have filmed some reading vlogs and I talk about the books I've read in vlogs, but it's kind of nice to have it all in one place for you guys. I started this month off with a bang. The first book I read was That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, which is the first book in a cozy fantasy trilogy by Kimberly Lemming. And this was so fun, honestly. We follow Cinnamon, our main character in this, and she runs a spice farm with her family. Like, her name's Cinnamon, and her best friend's name is Brie, and she runs a cheese shop. It's so cute. She bumps into a demon named Fallon in the forest, and then they basically just go on this like little adventure to destroy a goddess together, and this is so spicy. So if you're looking for a really fast-paced, get you out of a slump, spicy fantasy book, highly recommend. I said this in that video as well, but I think cozy fantasy is a really great place to start if you're getting into fantasy because there's not a ton of world building and it's written in pretty like plain English to understand. I really enjoyed the banter, and like it wasn't a literary masterpiece, but it was just honestly a really fun time. And this had so much plot in it for being 250 pages long. Like this had more plot than some books do in 500 pages. Wrap up with a nice little bow, okay? This did it in 260 pages. It was so good. I highly, highly, highly recommend. And then I already mentioned it, but The Bookshop and the Barbarian was my only 5-star read of the month, I believe. Yeah, besides a reread. And this is about Marabella, and she basically leaves her homeland to run this bookshop called the Cozy Quill. And she realized that it's like infested with like goblins or something, gremlins. And so she hires this like barbarian woman to come defend her bookshop. And then it's just like about them running this bookshop, and it's just really cute and cozy, and it's just so much fun. I'm really excited to go back and annotate this because I had some really good quotes in it, and it was just honestly a really great time. So I highly recommend. It's on Kindle Unlimited as well. And then I did a reread of Howl's Moving Castle, which I'm sure we've all heard of by now, and I gave this 4 stars just because it was a reread. I finally did it. I read Clockwork Angel, which is the first book in the Infernal Devices series. So good. I gave this 4.25 stars. Basically, this is the first book in chronological order, but Cassandra Clare recommends that you start with City of Bones, but I didn't because that's like in real time, and I wanted this one because it was more historical. A lot of the reviews are comparing this to City of Bones and saying it's like the exact same story, and they give this a lower rating, but because I read this first, I don't really have anything to compare it to, so like I just ate this shit up, honestly. The late 1800s setting was so atmospheric and gorgeous in this. It was so well written. It was just one of those books that I felt like I was being totally transported in. The story was well written, the plot, the characters, everything was just so good. The one thing I will say is I wish this had like a dual POV, or overall I loved this so much, and I always do this. If you haven't heard of The Infernal Devices, it's basically about a girl named Tessa Gray, and her brother lives in London and invites her there, so she crosses the ocean to go. And then she's kidnapped almost immediately by the Dark Sisters, who are members of this secret organization called the Pandemonium Club. I guess this would be more of like a magical realism book. Like it is fantasy, but she's like very much human, and then realizes she has kind of like magical elements to her. Quickly realizes that the Magister, who is like the head figure, like bad guy, is trying to hunt her down for like her powers and stuff. He escapes the Dark Sisters and takes refuge with the Shadow Hunters, and there's like this huge found family element. And then there's like a little love triangle moment, and basically one thing I realized is that I suck at explaining plots. I know I do. So just go into this blind. It's amazing. I promise you're gonna have such a fun time reading this. The reason I didn't give it a 5 stars, I just felt like the middle of the book kind of slacked for me. I just feel like the beginning was strong and the ending was strong. In the middle, it kind of fell off. I kind of lost that connection with the characters, but overall, I see this being a 5-star series. And I read The Teacher by Frida McFadden, which I had such high hopes for because The Coworker was such a disappointment, but unfortunately, this was also a disappointment. I gave this 2 stars. I finished it, but yeah. This is about Eve and her husband, and they both teach at this local high school, and then there's this troubled student, her name is Addie, and she's in one of his classes, and it's all about, you know, I just don't love books that are with the whole like teacher-student affair. I'm not a fan of that stuff, honestly, so I really just didn't like that. I find it like very creepy. I will say it was fast-paced like her other books, like get you out of a slump, but it was just overall such a letdown. The twists just were not twisty. It's kind of those books where you were reading it and like just waiting for another twist to happen and it just never came. Almost gave it 3 stars because I was entertained by it, but the plot itself just felt very flat and I was just pretty bored throughout it. So yeah, I also just found like teacher-student affairs very icky, so that's probably why I also rated it 2 stars. But I feel like when authors get well known, they start pumping out more books and they just kind of start getting a little bit worse and worse, and I would rather them release like 1 really good book a year than like 2 or 3 mediocre ones. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from Frida McFadden, unfortunately. So, and then I read another new release. I read A Friend in the Dark by Samantha M. Bailey. This comes out in March. It was part of my Amazon, I think, first reads, where you get like 1 free book a month with your Prime membership. And this was about Eden, and basically Eden just got blindsided by a divorce. She sends a friend request to her college crush. His name is Justin. You know, she's like, I'm getting divorced. I need a new man. Basically, they begin this online relationship together, and it's just all about like who really is the guy on the other side. It just says Eden is forced to awaken from her fantasy and look for answers. Who really is the man on the other line? The truth about Justin and about what happened that fateful night 2 decades ago puts her and her family in a fight for their lives. Sounds interesting, sounds unique. I feel like a lot of thrillers are the same recycled plot, so I was really excited to read this and have something be a bit more unique. But it kind of fell flat. Gave this 3 stars. 3 stars isn't bad, but it just wasn't my favorite read by her. I feel like I really went into it with high expectations because I've loved her previous work. Honestly, I don't have much to say about this. Like, it was good. It just wasn't amazing. Like, it didn't blow me away. It was very much like a popcorn thriller. I read it in less than a day. If you need like a fast-paced book to get you out of your slump, I highly recommend this over like probably the Frida McFadden book. Thrillers, I leave the book being like, wow, that was amazing. Like, how did someone come up with that concept in their head? And it just wasn't it. Then for my February library challenge pick, it was I never know how to say it. Is it pronounced BIPOC? Black, Indigenous, Person of Color book. And I decided to do the audiobook finally of Finding Me by Viola Davis. Anyways, this is actually my 3rd time reading / listening to this. I've read it twice now. So I decided to give it a listen, and it was just like a whole different experience, honestly, being an audiobook. So anyways, I listened to that. I give it like infinite stars. I love this so much. I love Viola Davis. I'm a huge fan of hers, so it was so good. Okay, then I read Stacey Willingham's newest release, Only If You're Lucky. I gave this 3.5 stars. I feel like it was just the month of like new release mediocre thriller books. This one is hard because she set the bar so high with her previous books, with A Flicker in the Dark and All the Dangerous Things. Like, those are both 5-star reads for me. Some of my favorite thrillers ever. This just read really YA to me because her previous 2 books are centered around women in their 30s. This takes place with a girl in her freshman and sophomore year of college. So it just feels a bit more YA, and it's also like a toxic, obsessed friend trope, which I just feel is very YA, and I just don't really enjoy it too much. So yeah, if you like a slow burn thriller, I do recommend this. Nothing happened until the last like 3 chapters. Like, literally the first 3/4 of it read like a literary fiction book. I also feel like it was unnecessarily long too. Like, if it had maybe been cut down, it's like almost 400 pages. I might have appreciated the last 25% more, but because the first like 3/4 of the book were so boring, I feel like I just didn't really appreciate the ending either, because I was just kind of like, this is so boring. So yeah, didn't really love it, but it was okay. Take a little breather. You guys know one of my like long COVID symptoms is that like I get really out of breath. Whew, so filming these sit down videos, that's why I don't do them more, because they just like literally take so much out of me. Next book I read was Rabbit Hole by Kate Brody. I think I gave this 3.75 stars. So it was honestly a pretty good thriller. However, I will say I thought it was a thriller, and it's definitely more of like a literary fiction thriller, you know, kind of like a mix of the two. Like, that's why it rates so low on Goodreads, because I made that mistake as well, thinking it was like a full-on thriller, and it's definitely more of an exploration of grief and like the obsession with solving a case, and not so much thriller, but there's still thriller elements to it. Like I still really enjoyed it. This is basically about Teddy, but 10 years ago, Teddy's older sister went missing. And now we're flash forward to today where Teddy's father just killed himself. And Teddy's father had spent the last like 10 years, you know, on Reddit trying to solve her older sister's case. Her name was Angie. And so now that her father's passed away, she kind of like takes over, and it's all about her trying to understand and cope with her grief while also managing relationships and trying to solve the case too. I mean, it does say here, a character study of a mind twisted by grief and a page-turning mystery. Yeah, it's definitely more mystery than thriller. That makes a lot more sense. I honestly had fun reading it. Definitely a slow burn, which is also why I rated it on the 3-ish star scale, because I'm just not a slow burn kind of girly. I will say the ending was really unsatisfying to me. Like I just didn't really like it, but overall it was a good mix to me of like mystery and literary fiction and exploration, like a character study of grief, if you will. I think if you like true crime, you would really love this. And yeah, it was a good time reading it. It just wasn't a 5-star read for me. Okay, let's make my TBR for March. I actually haven't made it yet. We're doing this in like real time together. I also wanted to share, I think I'm gonna share this in like an upcoming, I don't know, maybe like a Productive Monday vlog or something. I want to share like my Notion tour, because I shared one at the beginning of the year in my New Year reset, but I kind of always tweak it. But I did want to share my kind of like book releases and how I track that. I'll put a screenshot of what that table looks like on the screen, since I obviously do review a ton of books for you guys. I put the release date, the title, and the status of it, so I know whether I'm buying it, putting on hold at the library, or if I've read it, and then the author and the genre. And that's kind of how I keep track of all of the books that are coming out in the year, or like I'm always kind of updating it because there's always new books that are coming out. I basically look and see what new releases are coming out for March. I look and see what book I have to read for my library reading challenge. I will obviously add the book that we're doing for my in real life book club, which I have a book club with some of my girlfriends from the hospital that I kind of just stopped going to for the last year because of all the travel we had. But I'm back now, and I picked the book for the month, so I'm so excited. And then of course, just books that have caught my eye, or I'll scroll through kind of like the books on my holds at the library and kind of see what I'm most likely to get sometime this month. So first up on my TBR is to finish Bright Young Women. I started this past weekend and I'm really enjoying it. It is taking me a little bit longer. I feel like literary fiction is good for me because it makes me slow down and like really read and not like speed through. Really hoping I can finish this month. And then this is gonna count as my March library challenge and then also my March book club pick. So my March reading challenge for the library, we're doing like a 12-month, like it gives you like a different prompt to read every month, is a page to screen book. And this just came out as an HBO series, and it's also my book club pick, and that is Beartown by Frederick Backman. I'm about 2 chapters into this and I'm really liking it so far, and gives small town vibes. I grew up in a small town. I'm really enjoying it. So that is on my March TBR as well. I would really like to get to my year of rest and relaxation because my hold just became available on that. And then I also put a hold on Can't Spell Treason Without T, which is the cozy fantasy book. So I really hope I can get to that one as well. I'm putting the 7-year slip on my TBR for this month. I'm pretty sure it was on my February one as well. The Dead Romantics is one of my favorite romance books of all time, and I'm just so scared this is not going to live up to the hype. So I haven't started it yet, but I really want to get to it in March. And then I reorganized my bookshelves this month. I kind of was like going through and thinking of like which books I've had the longest, and one of my friends, Abby, recommended this to me. She reads a ton too. She loves thrillers, and she said this is one of her favorite thrillers, and I just never got to it. It's Confessions on the 745 by Lisa Unger. And this is ironic because Lisa Unger's newest book, The New Couple in 5B, actually comes out this month as well. So I'm hoping I can get to this because I've heard really good things. So I would love to get to this and maybe her new release as well. But that's kind of like my March TBR and how I pick books on my TBR. Another thing I also do, which I don't really mention, I feel like my monthly reset kind of changes month to month, is I have on my Notion, I'll put a picture here of what it looks like, a ongoing monthly to-do list, and that just kind of has work tasks, house stuff, errands, returns, and things I need to do. And so before the end of the month, I kind of just like to make sure I've done everything on that. So for example, I still need to expense my Yellowknife trip to work. I need to return a ton of stuff, honestly. I did submit my taxes, so I can actually check that off, which is very exciting, my business taxes. but I need to do my personal taxes. And yeah, I just try and kind of get as much done. I usually kind of use the last day of the month as like a get my shit together day and just like run all the returns. I like going into a new month like with my credit cards like zeroed out and like ready to go for the month ahead, because I obviously pay them off in full. And I don't know what it is, but I hate seeing a balance on my credit card if I'm waiting for a return, but then I leave the return in my car and I don't do it. So it's like you can't help yourself, Carter, if you're not actually returning the items. So I just kind of like to make sure I get as much done going into that month as I can. And then in terms of just like some other random things that I do, I will update my analytics for social media, which I don't care too much about, but I just think it's important to track them throughout the year to see like any correlations of like, oh, I posted more than usual, so I gained more subscribers, or the months that I didn't post as much on Instagram and TikTok, I didn't gain as many followers. And just kind of nice to see those correlations, see what videos did well, see which ones didn't. And then I will always update my videos for the month. So do some video planning for March and update my books. If I haven't put in my book review, I will put those in there. And then I'm gonna probably do a camera roll declutter. I feel like I like to do that every month. I take a lot of screenshots, so I like to put them in like a little brain dump page on my Notion and just kind of clear out my camera roll for the month ahead. So I haven't really been into talking about finances online, and I don't know why. It just hasn't been something that excites me. And so I don't know. I'm never gonna force myself to do anything, but I'm just kind of in this phase where I feel like my budget is so repetitive. And I think that's just life. Like I feel like my budget is not boring, but like it's the same thing every month. I'm pretty good. I mean, obviously there's months I overspend, there's months I underspend, but it's relatively the same. Like my budget doesn't really change. My bills don't change. My paychecks don't change. I've just kind of been like not so excited to share it because I just feel like it's boring for you guys to see. So I'm just going to do a quick little summary for you guys. Just like, I don't pay myself a ton from the business, which I said this in my last video, but I think especially with resets, it's so important to talk about that business income and personal income are not the same. They are separate, okay? So when someone says my business made $10,000 this month, it doesn't mean that they personally are taking home $10,000. They could be paying themselves $10,000, but I just think it's so easy to like jump the gun on social media and be like, wow, they made $10,000, but like it was their business that did, and it's not the same. My business, for example, this month, I don't know, let's say it changes obviously because of like brand deals and stuff. Let's say this month I made $6,000, the business did. I only paid myself $2,000. So that doesn't mean Carter made $6,000. It means the business made $6,000 and I paid myself $2,000. When I pay myself $2,000, it also doesn't mean that the business made $2,000. You know, they're very separate entities. And so I just want to remind people of that when you see budgets online that are like, oh, I made $10,000. Could be their business that made $10,000. That's not what they're personally bringing in. So anyways, yeah, I don't know. I've been in kind of this like rut with finance content because I just feel like I am like, I don't know. I just don't really, I thrift. We spend the exact same amount on like groceries every month. Like I feel like my budget is the same every single month. And so I've just been like kind of, I don't know, in like a bit of a finance rut, if you will. So total breakdown for February, expenses was 35.7%. Investments were 25%. I'm really proud of myself for that. I threw a whole bunch of extra money in my RSP because of taxes coming up. Bills were 33%, and then savings 5.8%, which I'm okay with because we're not actively saving for anything right now. We're focusing on investing. Income breakdown. I worked a ton at my corporate job this month, which is why I made more. And then I paid myself my usual from the business, which I put $1,750, but it's $2,000. And then I did sell a camera on Facebook Marketplace, so I made $300. Okay, in terms of expenses, I would say, I don't want to say it was an average month. It was a little bit higher because I ended up having a vet bill for Salem because he had to get a tooth pulled. But other than that, it was a pretty normal month. Groceries, I ended up buying a bit more than Matt. I've talked about this before, but we don't really split our groceries like 50-50. We just take turns. And this month I ended up buying more groceries than him. It is what it is. Yeah, my grocery bill could have probably been around $400, but we did a big grocery shop because we had a lot of friends over the last 2 weekends. So groceries $500, meal kits $200. Eating out, we did go out for dinner one night, which we don't do often because it's so expensive, and this is why. But that is going out for dinner, and then we had takeout a few times. Gas, $148. I mean, it's probably my average now driving to the city. Clothing is $0. I did get some stuff from Old Navy, but I had a gift card. Health and wellness, $0. Appointments, $45. I did get my nails done. Miscellaneous shopping, $159. Honestly, that's pretty good for me. That's just like random Amazon stuff, stock ups, random things I bought at farmers markets and stuff throughout the month. So I'm really happy with that. That's a pretty low number for me. The kids, $323. Most of that was the vet bill. Coffee, $12. My mom and I just take turns treating each other, so that's why it was so low. Alcohol, $74. I mean, we just stocked up on some wine. Subscriptions, $42. And then treating others, $105. What was treating others? What did I spend the money on? Oh, I had to get some food for like a little potluck, a lunch we had for Matt's grandma's birthday. And then, oh, I did treat everyone to coffee. I should have put that under coffee, but like whatever, it's not a big deal. I treated everyone, my mom, me, our good friend, family friend, Jen, and then my sister. We all went for coffee and I treated them. So coffee, but it fell under treating others. Bills were the same. Our mortgage is going to go up a little bit because we increased that payment. You can only increase your mortgage 20% in Canada though. So I think it's going to come in around, right now it's $800 bi-weekly, maybe $979 or $959 or something. So I'll have an accurate number for next month's reset, but we just wanted to put a little bit more on a mortgage since we have like a 1.7% interest rate and we have a pretty small mortgage. We figured we could put some extra money on it now. Okay, my home sinking fund, that is like a sinking fund, like I said. And so money kind of comes in, money comes out. I added $300 to that this month. And that has about, I think, 2,000 right now. And that will cover like our countertops. And then that's just like, if I buy like a floating shelf, it kind of comes out of that account. I'm always kind of pulling from it, taking from it, adding to it, etc. Investments for the month, I ended up investing a bit more into my RRSP, like I said, just because of tax season. I'm really, really happy with the $500 a month in each. It feels like a good amount for me. And then yeah, if I ever like sell something or if I get money back on like a tax refund, I'll just put that right back into my investments. So I always get asked too how I break down my transactions for the different credit cards in my budget, and I'll put a screenshot here of what it looks like. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit so that I had like the different credit cards that I use. That way I could track it from each one. So I have like my Amex, my Visa Infinite Privilege, Neo, checkings account, etc. And I have it all kind of broken out. That way it's just easier to track. That is the budget for February. And like I've mentioned, or I've been doing this the last few months, I haven't been setting up my next month's budget with you guys because honestly, it's just the same literally every single month. And I just prefer to like reflect on my budget with you guys at the end of the month instead of just like doing that and then creating a new budget because I feel like it's the same every single month. So yeah, but I'm sure this video is getting really long and really chatty, so I'm going to end it off here. But I hope you guys have a great start to March. If you want to do the 60-day challenge or a 60-day challenge or even a 30-day challenge with me, let me know down below. Make sure you follow me on Instagram because I'm going to kind of hold myself accountable by posting my stories on there every day. But I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!